Good morning, guys. What's going on? This is your boy Eminem. It's Friday. It's 61 degrees in Lake Elsinore, California. I pray that you guys are doing well today, that the end of the week is joyful for most of you. I pray that you've had a successful and prosperous day. We're going to get into this, being that it's Friday, TGIF. Thank God it's Friday. It's a great day. It's a wonderful day. We've been talking about 7 steps to change anything in your life. Anything. You can use these steps to change certain things in your life, or you can use other steps. Really doesn't matter. Whatever works for you. These are just some that I came across that I thought that were really good, that I wanted to share with you guys. And you can use them, you can share them. But please, when you come in, share it with your friends, tag your friends, share it with your loved ones. Also, share it with those that you don't get along with, because you know my motto, we want to be a blessing to everyone. 7 steps to change anything in your life. Anything. Doesn't matter what it is. You can change anything in your life. But it takes effort. It takes work. And I know many of you'll be like, work? Oh no. Yes, it takes work. Trust me. And nothing worthwhile comes easy.
Battery 90%. Connected to GT80.
Get this machine working here. But what was the first thing we talked about? The first thing we talked about was know what you want rather than what you don't want. Because whatever you focus on, that's going to be your results. So don't focus on what you don't want. Focus on what you do want. Number 2,
with the release of their
we talked about cultivate the belief that it's possible. You have to cultivate. Hey, Stephanie, how you doing? You have to cultivate your belief that it is possible. If you don't believe it's possible, then it's not going to be possible. Then you're not going to achieve what it is that you desire. And number 3, we talked about cultivate the overwhelming motivation to succeed. You got to cultivate these things. It's an overwhelming motivation to succeed. We're overwhelmed by so many things in our lives. We're overwhelmed by the negative. We're overwhelmed by hurt. We're overwhelmed by what happened in Florida just a couple of days ago. We're overwhelmed by these things in our place of living, in our surroundings. But we have to cultivate the overwhelming motivation to succeed. And today, we're talking about change your patterns, change your life. If you change your patterns, the patterns that are in your life, some of the patterns that are bringing destruction, some of the patterns that bring disappointment, some of the patterns, what are those patterns that bring those disappointments? What are those patterns that bring heartache? What are those patterns that bring depression? You know, there was a time in my life that I was very depressed. You know, I didn't feel loved. I didn't feel wanted. I didn't feel successful. I didn't feel I was making enough money. I just didn't feel a lot of things. And the thing about it, the more I focused on those, the more my results became that. I was even more disappointed. I was even more depressed. I was even more unhappy because I focused on those things. And we all know whatever you focus on, that's going to be your result. So change your patterns, change your life. As a quick experiment, let's do this while we have a little time this morning. What I want you to do is cross your arms. Just like this, cross your arms. And then notice which arm is on top and which arm is on the bottom. Okay? Now reverse the order. If you cross it this way, go the other way. Let your left arm if your left arm was on the top, make sure that it's on the bottom now. Or vice versa. If your right arm was on the top, make sure it's on the bottom now. Now, feels strange, doesn't it? Now, here's another one. Try the same experiment. Interlocking your fingers, just like this. Interlocking your fingers so your palms are touching and your fingers are interlaced. Okay? Now, which thumb is on top? Is it your right thumb? Is it your left thumb? Which one of those are on top? Now, switch everything around so your fingers are still interlaced, but the other thumb is on top. Hey, what's up, Jay? What's up, homeboy? Good to see you, man. Now, make sure when you interchange those, switch them around. Now, funny how that works, that these are patterns in your life. It feels uncomfortable when you're accustomed to folding your arms a certain way, but now you're trying to, I can't even think like that. Now you're trying to switch them around in the opposite direction. It's odd, but our pattern is we do it for so long in a certain way that we're used to doing that. You drive to work the same way every day. That's a pattern. You do certain things a certain way all the time repetitively, it becomes a pattern. Hey, Jay, how's the family, man? Please give your wife my love, man, and kids and everything. Good to see you, man. These patterns, when you look at these patterns, these are patterns in your life. They are physical patterns, but they're also metaphors for the emotional and psychological patterns in your life. Now, that may sound a little deep for you on a big old Friday, but stick with me. What's up, Al? Good to see you, man. We're working it out, brother. We're working it out. Good to see you guys. Now, these patterns that I've been talking about, and a little example that I showed you, the experiment that I showed you about, which thumb is on top, when you switch it around, because you're so used to doing a certain thing all the time that when you switch it, it becomes uncomfortable. It's because it's out of the norm. But these patterns show up in how we think about ourselves. For example, we might think, I'm good versus I'm bad. Or how we think of others. I like people like him, or I don't like people like him. You ever said that? You ever thought about certain things? Well, I like that person. Or I like people like him, or I don't like people like him. I've said it. I looked at people and said, man, I don't like people like him. They big mouth, they do a lot of talking, but they don't do no action. You ever hear these brothers, especially when, me growing up in the neighborhood I grew up, they called Dodge City. We had our little Dodge City gangsters. That's the funny thing about it now, as I'm grown, I see all these little busters that want to be hard, and they don't know nothing about being hard. They do a lot of lip service, but when it comes down to really bare knuckles, they don't know how to fight. It's all lips, it's all mouth. But you see people say, I don't like a person like that, or I like people like that. But what we expect to be true in our lives is that these patterns show up in our lives. That's what we find to be true. And here's another thing. We can talk about I can be thin and happy versus I can be overweight my whole life. Of course, these are simple examples that I'm using, but they communicate the basic point. How you think about yourself. The patterns in your lives. How are you thinking? Are you thinking in a way that, okay, the reason why I talk about weight is there's the three areas that I talked about early on in the week is I don't want to be alone, I don't want to be overweight, and I don't want to be broke anymore. Those are the three areas that I find that most people talk about. So that's why I'm still talking about those three today. Think about it. These patterns that we have in our lives that seem to show up, they also show up in our behaviors. Let me give you an example. Turning to food. Okay, we're talking about food. Turning to food when we are stressed. Now, many people, when they're stressed out, what's the first thing they turn to? It might not be food. It might be something else. But in this example, let's talk about food. I have friends that I've done it myself, that, if we're stressed out, we find ourselves snacking on stuff. We find ourselves eating. We find ourselves, putting stuff in our mouths that's not healthy. I say if you're stressed, get you a carrot. Chump on you a carrot or some celery or something. But we start acting with rage toward others when we are upset or scared, or bottling it up completely by contrast, because I used to do that. When I get upset, I keep it inside. When I get mad, I keep it inside. But most people that were close to me, they knew when I was upset, because my jaw muscles, you start gritting your teeth. You see those jaws gritting in and out, and they say, oh, this brother's tense, this brother's upset. But here's what we need to understand, looking towards others for reassurance that we're okay. A lot of people, they look to other people for assurance that they're okay. Do you have people that you can talk to? Do you have people that you can trust? Do you have people that you can confide in? These are the people that you really run to when you want reassurance that you're okay. And there's nothing wrong with that, as long as they have your best interest at heart. As long as these people have your back, as long as they're positive, as long as they're going in the direction that you want to go, those are the people you want to listen to. I never could understand how some of us, we talk to people that are worse off than us. They can't even help us, but we want their advice. We want their opinion. What sense does that make? That's like insanity. What's the definition of insanity? Doing the same doggone things again and again is trying to expect a different result. No. You have to change. You have to change your surroundings. If you want a more positive surrounding, be around more positive people. If you want to make more income, be around those people that are making income, the kind of income that you want to make. Not illegally, but positively, legally. My thing is, most of the partners, not most, but quite a few of them that I ran around with in the neighborhood, they're either dead or they're in prison. Okay? I had a choice. Take their opinion, take their advice, and end up just like them. Go figure. And now when I go through the neighborhood and I see some of the gangsters, some of the Crips, some of the Bloods, still in the neighborhood, still doing this, still doing that, they look old, they look beat up, they look run down, they got children. And now because they didn't instill a positive affirmation in their children's lives about gangs, drugs, and all the rest of that, now their children are trying to be mini gangsters in the same neighborhood. Really? Somewhere along the line, we need to stop that generational curse and teach our children that there is a lot more to life than the destruction that's on the street. These brothers, they gravitate to these young brothers that are fresh, new, inexperienced, green under the gill, as they say, wet behind the ears, and then they bring them in under their fold. Because that's what we did when we was growing up. Brought these young brothers on under our wings or whatever. Times that I sold weeds, times that I smoked weed and all that. I'm not proud of that. But it was just a season that I went through. But I could have stayed on that course, and I could have been doing a life stretch right now. Many of you could, especially the brothers, you could be doing a life stretch. A life stretch. However, whether it was a spiritual intervention or you just came to your senses to say, hey, you know what? I don't want to go down that way. I don't want to end up like so-and-so. I don't want to end up like that person. There's got to be a change in our patterns. There's got to be a change in what we're doing in our lives. So these things, they affect our behavior. So here's the important thing to understand. Our current patterns have gotten us to exactly where we are in our lives right now. I'm going to let you marinate on that for a little while. Our current patterns. Think about your current patterns. Think about what you do right now, every single day. It has gotten you exactly where you are in your life right now. You may not want to believe it. Assessment. And realize that it's true when you really come to grips with some of the patterns that you have in your life. Look at where you are right now. They've gotten us more. They've gotten us no more, no less. But you know what? if we stick to the same patterns, we're not going to change. Duh, right? And the circumstances in our lives are not very likely to change either. So if you're continuously doing negative, you're going to continuously get negative. That's going to be your result. You know, nothing wrong with working hard. Nothing wrong with wanting to be positive. Nothing wrong with wanting to succeed in life. But there's a work ethic that you need to put in place in order for you to get that, in order for you to receive that. I don't understand how kids today, they want the sky, they want the bling, but they don't want to put the time in to get the bling. And my children today will tell you that I would sit them down while they were young. They didn't want to hear it, but I didn't care. I had their best interest at heart because, one, they were living with me. They were living under my roof. I wasn't living with them. They were living with me. So they had to listen to what I had to say because I didn't want them to end up like many of the people that they saw me grow up with. So I sat them down and taught them the importance of saving your money, the importance of having a job. It might not be the job that you want, but at least you're getting paid. At least you have something coming in rather than nothing. So I sat them down and I taught them, you know, not only just the facts of life. People talk about facts of life as being the sex. No, facts of life is, are you a good investor? Can you save your money? Are you reading good books? Are you getting a good education? Is the education that you're getting going in the direction of your lifestyle that you desire? You know, there's a lot of things that I made mistakes with my own children. However, I did the best that I could do as a single dad, okay? As a single dad, I wanted to live a life in front of them so when they grew up, they say, you know what? My dad, he didn't have a lot, but he did the best he could. He kept us out of prison. He kept us out of jail. He kept us from getting in trouble. And now you listen to my son, a rising star in Los Angeles, doing stars' hairs and hairstyles and designs and stuff. Now he had different paths that he traveled in order to get to where he is today. And he'll tell you it wasn't easy. There was many times he cried. There was many times he was disappointed. And many of those times I disappointed him and made him cry. You know, but we chop it up now. You know, the things that I didn't realize he shares with me, and I apologize for that. Because there are certain things that I didn't realize that I caused certain pain in my son's life. But now because he is grown and he can rationally sit down and talk with his dad, we have some good conversations. And I tell him, I've always supported you guys. I've always stood behind you guys as long as long as it was legal, as long as it was going to do good for your better end. So now he's a rising star in Los Angeles, doing hair. You know, he went down to culinary. I thought he was going to be a chef because he wanted to cook like me. He said, I want to be a cook like you, Dad. I want to be a chef like you. You know, because I enjoy cooking. That's therapy for me. But that wasn't his path. That wasn't his dream. Well, he found his niche. And he's right where he wants to be. And now he says, don't look for me to come back to San Diego. I'm like, hey, no biggie, bro. Do your thing. Go out there and make that paper. Make a name for yourself. Make a positive name for yourself. So now he's surrounding himself with people that are already successful in that industry. So now he's meeting people to meet other people. And that's what it's about. In your patterns of influence, you have to be introduced to people that are already in the industry that you want to be in, that are already successful in those industries. I'm very proud of my children. Very proud of my children. So that was just a little side note to let you know that your current patterns have gotten you exactly where you are right now in your life. So if you have children that are still at home and they don't want to hear it, that's too bad. You pay the mortgage or the rent, the light and the gas. You pay the bills to your house. They have no say-so other than what you say. My dad used to tell us, you know, we try to get besides ourselves. You know, we to that age where we think we smell ourselves as young men. You know, we think we can say whatever we want to say, do whatever we want to do. Pops would say, hey, let me tell you something, boy. You ain't grown until you gone. As long as you're living under this roof, you're going to do what I say. You're going to respect this house. You know, I understand how children are so disrespectful to the house that they live in, that their parents is allowing them freedom to stay. I know parents that have put their kids out as soon as they turn 18. Get out. You need to go figure it out. You're not staying here. You're not eating all my food up and not contributing to nothing. You know, just like, you know, it's owed to them. Oh, we don't have any food in the kitchen. We don't have, well, go out and work and bring some food in. Help out. Instead of doing all this complaining what's not in there, my thing is change your method of thinking to help out where you're at. Until you're out there on your own, then you realize, oh, it's not that easy, is it? Now you got your own bills. Now you got your own responsibility. You ain't complaining too much. Kids, you know, it wasn't until I moved out that I understood. And it's just like all generations. I don't care what generation you're in. It's all the same. The game is the same. The players are younger. All the same. So whenever you think about your current patterns, if they're going in a negative direction, it's never too late to change your patterns. It's never too late to change the direction that you're going. I don't care how old you are. There's a lot of things that I want to do in life still today, but I know that it's going to take sacrifice. I know it's going to take work for me to get there. So, in order to get the change that we want, guess what? There's certain things that we have to do. In order to get these changes that we desire, we have to change our patterns. Oh, that's like duh, right? We have to change our approach when it comes to weight loss. And again, I'm talking about weight loss. Don't get offended. Just gravitate to the positiveness. Yes, I need to lose weight. Maybe this means following the eat to live approach for a month and then mixing it up. You know, we eat to live. No, most of us, we live to eat. And then we wonder why we can't lose weight. So we have to change our pattern, change our methodology, change the way that we're thinking. Maybe it's been open to getting outside feedback and coaching help to uncover and correct your negative patterns. You might have to do that. You might have to go outside and get some outside feedback. You know, because the people that you're around, now don't take offense, if everybody's fat in your group, you might have to go outside that group to someone that's smaller than them in order to correct your negative patterns. This is treadmill motivation. I'm on this treadmill every day, and I'm trying to change my current pattern of where I am at this weight level to get to a desired weight level. So I had to go outside for feedback. Those that are working out, those that are already buff. Those, you know, I used to be pretty strapping when I was young and playing football. But you know what? With age, gravity happens. You know, we started looking like a spare tire, looking like a pear. But it's never too late to change those patterns. Maybe, like I say, it's been that you need to go outside for coaching to uncover some of the things that you need to correct. Maybe it's as simple as saying no to somebody you generally say yes to, and vice versa. If you're constantly being the yes man, maybe you need to change that and say no sometimes. If your boys are always trying to get you to do the driving, why don't you say no and you do some of the driving? They don't chip in for gas, right? They want to drive your car until the wheels fall off. But yet that's my boys, that's my boys, that's my girls. But yet they using your stuff, tearing up your stuff, and then when it's time to put it in the shop, they're nowhere around. Go figure. It's like you don't. Statistics says that for a young person to think logically, to think, it's not until they reach the age of 26. Now, if you guys got some young people in the house that's under 26, well, you got until they're 26 before they start really thinking. You know, a lot of people don't agree with that, but that's statistically proven. In society that we live in, that young people today, it doesn't click. It doesn't register for some reason until they turned 26. And then I started looking at my son. I said, you know what? That's true. That's true, because the closer he came to 26, he was 25, he's 26 today. And so many things changed in his life. So many open doors happened in his life. And it was like a light bulb came on. He was like, dang, Dad, I get it now. I didn't like, yeah, that's right, that's right. No, I said, I'm glad you do get it now. You know, thank God. And I still support him. I still, I'm his best cheerleader. My children, I'm their cheerleader because I cheer them on for what they want to do in life that's positive. What you can do in your own life right now to bring change, what can you do about that? What can you do to bring change? What's up, DJ Kev? What can you do right now to bring change in your life? We need to keep creating new patterns. We need to keep creating positive behaviors that replace the old ones. Right? You're letting go of. You need to let go of these old patterns. Create positive patterns. Create positive behaviors. So that brings us into number 5. Create new patterns to release the old. What time is it? I got a little bit. I'll be here a little bit. It's Friday. Hang with me for a little bit. We need to create new patterns to replace the old ones. How do we do that? After you've learned to interrupt the old patterns. That's right. Marine motivated. Once a Marine, always a Marine. That's it, baby. That's what I'm talking about. Hoorah. After you have learned to interrupt your old habits, now we need to begin to search for positive, alternative behaviors. Want me to say it again? I'll say it again. After we interrupt the old habits, now we need to begin the search for positive, alternative behaviors. Options are all around you that you can start developing immediately. You have positive options all around you. It's just the choice that you make whether you accept it or not. So you need to ask yourself, what is the experience I really want to have in my life? What's the experience that you really want to have in your life? And ask yourself that question and then listen to the answer that comes back from within. You sit and you ask yourself, what is the experience I really want to have or really want to be having in my life? And then if you're in a place that's quiet that you can hear your inner self, you'll be surprised at some of the answers that come back from within. Where does it guide you? Where will it lead you? Where does it want to lead you? What new behavioral options does it incline you towards? These are a lot of important questions that we need to have with ourselves. Instead of waking up like, yo, I'm ready to go to this party. I'm ready to go hang out with my girls. I'm ready to go hang out with my boys. Well, there's nothing wrong with that in retrospect of the weekend. You've gotten through a prosperous week. You've hit certain goals. You didn't hit a goal, but yet you want to reward yourself. There's nothing wrong with that. Just because you didn't hit a particular goal, don't beat yourself up. Always know that you can start again. So this is a very important step. If you neglect to do any of these, you will likely return to your old habits. And that's one thing that we don't want to do is return back to the old habits. There's a lot of things that I did growing up. I do not want to return back to those old habits because my end result would be jail, prison. That's not a positive outcome for me. That's not a positive future for anyone. But the decisions we make, we have to understand that some of the decisions we make, some of the rewards we're going to get is not going to be positive. So the more you do this, the more you think about positive behavioral patterns, the more you create a positive neutral pathway in your brain that increase your sense of pleasure and reduce the frustration or pain that you're having. The more you think about positive things, the more you set your focus on positive things, it's going to increase your sense of pleasure. And then it's going to reduce your frustration and your pain. People wonder how come they're always getting in trouble. oh, the world this, the world that. No, it ain't the world, it's your choices. It's some of those bad choices you're making. You need to stop and think before you act. Is this going to result in a positive outcome? And if it's not, you have the choice to not do it. You have the choice to stop, turn around, and go back the other way. You know, it's like the mundane example of you're driving down this road and you see a sign that says road out, but you just go on past there and not believing that the road ain't out. You know, I've been down this road many times. The sign, all of a sudden the sign shows up and you go on past the sign. You end up in a canyon because now they're developing for a new community that you didn't even realize because you didn't pay attention to the signs. So if you were to pay attention to the signs that says that the road is out, you could have turned around and saved yourself thousands of dollars of car repair or hospital bills. Common sense. But I also understand that some sense is not common. So let me give you an example of some of the pleasures that we can reduce in making wise decisions and making pattern changes in our lives. There are an infinite number of things you can do at night instead of mindlessly snacking or binge or emotional eating. There are a lot of things you can do at night that can boost your morale, that can boost your motivation in succeeding. Let me give you help with that. Make a list of all the positive things you can do at night that don't involve food. Yes, I'm still on the food. Yes, I'm still on weight. But it doesn't matter what it is. Plug whatever it is that you want to do in this section. Do the things at night that's positive, that doesn't result in a negative outcome. If you're out drinking all night, well, you know what the end result going to be. Headache the next morning. Hangover the next morning. Sick, can't go to work. Now your job looking at you all sideways. So, think about this. Make a list of all the positive things that you want to do at night that don't involve XYZ. You fill it in. But I'm using food for our example. Other basics like healthy dinner, you know, stuff like that. So here's a few ideas that you can start with. Now, this isn't absolute. This is just to trigger some emotional positive thought processes for you. One, and we're talking about food, weight loss. Become a night exerciser. Exercise at night before you go to bed. That's a good way to boost your metabolism at night, because now once you start working out, your metabolism continues to kick in constantly for, I think, for hours. So if you work out before you go to bed, your metabolism is working while you're sleeping. Here's another one. Join a fitness club. I got a friend that she does, what's that thing called? Zumba? Zumba. Join you a Zumba club or something. Join a bowling league. It's activity that you can put in place. Go to the theater. How about taking an art class? If you're in any coaching program, you can make it a habit of listening to your own coaching or to other coaching programs. If you're not a coach, but you have hands on magazines, books, tapes. Do they even have tapes anymore? CDs or ebooks, all this technological stuff that we have at our reach. There's no excuses, right? But make it positive during the night. Go to bed and pray. Ask God, Lord, this is what I need help in. Lord, this is what I'm desiring. Lord, this is what I need to change. Lord, this is what I need. You ain't got to be super spiritual. As long as you have a relationship with the Lord, you sit down and talk to him about anything. Just don't use him as a band-aid to get what you want, and then all of a sudden you doing everything else you want to do after the fact. Don't work that way. So I'm going to end with this. Regardless of where you are in life, regardless of what you're doing right now in life, you need to stay laser focused and persistent. You need to stay laser focused and persistent. Find the positive alternative. Find a positive alternative to where you are in your life right now. Be wise. Accept wise counsel. Don't be the fool all the time. Don't think you know it all the time. There's people that are wiser than you, and there's people that are smarter than you. You can have a PhD, and there's always going to be someone smarter than you. Especially if someone that has gone down that road and they know what that road is about. You really need to shut up and listen and pay attention. Pay attention to life lessons. Life is a teacher. So what's going to be your final grade? Pass with full flying colors? Straight A student, or you going to flunk out? Failure. No, we don't want that. We want everybody to be successful in life. Wherever you are in your life, you need to be successful. This has been your boy Eminem. I appreciate you guys coming in, sharing this time with me. Hopefully that you guys are working out not only your body, working out your spirit, working out your mind, working out your emotions, working out the mentality, working out psychologically, whatever it is in your life that you need to work out. Work it out. I just decided to work it out on the treadmill, so whenever I don't get too stressed now. Christina's in my life. I don't have no stress like I used to, because she be working it out. We work it out. We work it out together, and that's a beautiful thing when you have someone that you can work things out together. You can talk about it rationally. You can talk about things in your life that you want to do, certain changes in your life you want to make, and you have someone that's in your corner, someone that's going to cheerlead you and say, you know what, babe, you can do this. You can do this. If you share your ideas and share some of the dreams and desires that you have, you'd be surprised at some of the ideas that other people can help you with that.
Hey, Spotify listeners,
right?
Did you know?
So it's just a matter of being positive where you are. Theodore, what's up, man? Good to see you. We're about to close this out. So on Monday, I look forward to seeing you guys on Monday. We're going to do this again. We're going to step number 6. What is step number 6? Reinforce, and then reinforce some more. All this we talking about, need to reinforce it. Your positive attitude, need to reinforce it. Healthy eating, need to reinforce it. Exercising more, need to reinforce it. Praying more, need to reinforce it. Fasting, need to reinforce it. Reading the word, need to reinforce. All the areas in your life, you can always reinforce. It was a saying in the industry that I used to work in. What was that saying? Recruit. Something like that. And then when you're done recruiting, recruit some more. So it's the same thing in life. You want to reinforce positive patterns in your life. Reinforce positive decisions in your life. Reinforce positive choices in your life. And then you'll find out that all this nonsense your friends are talking, you'll soon realize that, man, they really don't know what they're talking about. But you've been listening to them all this time. Wow. Who's the bigger fool? All right, guys. Appreciate you guys coming in. Share this with your friends. Share it with your loved ones. And share it with those that you really don't get along with. Because we always want you to live, hope, and to change in every area of your life. I pray that God blesses you guys immensely through the weekend. Be safe. Have fun. Enjoy your family. Enjoy the person that you're with. Make someone smile. Christine, you always, I see you. You make me smile. So, all right, you guys, be good, be blessed, and we'll see you on Monday. See you on the other side, guys.